Hello and welcome to the first episode of Entitled Gamers. This is Herc, one of your hosts, and I'm here doing the canned intro. Today we're going to talk a little bit about games getting more expensive, referring specifically to NBA 2K12 and the price hike they recently announced for next-gen consoles. We'll also talk a little bit about Ninja streaming on YouTube without a contract, and wrap it all up with Destiny 2's Stream plugin making a crap ton of money for streamers with the new Stream Bounty. As a note, I'll add, you're going to notice in this episode that my audio is a bit shit. That's because I'm still working out things with my new microphone, and I was feeling a little bit under the weather today. And also, we decided to try recording this with a bot through a Discord call, so all of that kind of compounded to make specifically my audio garbage. Just my voice sounds like doo-doo. And as you can tell, right here, it sounds a lot better and beautiful. So enjoy the podcast, and we hope you like it.
So you picked 3 topics. I'm glad you dodged all of the other bullshit that would make this the shortest running podcast of all time.
Like what?
Anything that involves racism, sexism.
Oh, God, yeah. all the hot buttons.
Dude. It is not a safe time to be on the internet these days.
No, and I mean, I would like to talk about that, but
I'm scared to death.
Everyone's got an opinion, and no one's opinion is 100% right, and I don't feel like adding to the noise, honestly.
You are in the wrong if you have an opinion or if you don't. That's it.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
I know. I'm always wrong.
And it sucks, man, because like these are times that are literally shaping the future of our culture. I mean, like we got it on both fronts. We've got the freaking plague, which is shaping our society, like analog society.
Speaking of the plague, did you hear that the bubonic plague broke out in China?
I did. China's having a rough year, man.
I know, dude. It's like, oh, great. Here we go again.
But at least we're like more prepared for this. Like, we've seen this one before, guys. Okay. We know what to expect to a degree.
Right. Unless we don't.
It's not like some new foreign bull crap.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is the year that zombies happen, right? Everyone said us preppers were crazy, and we're starting to look not so crazy. I'm not actually a prepper. I should say that for legal reasons.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. Side anecdote here. When I got my truck, like I literally got it on New Year's Eve. I bought a truck, and I should preface my sugar mama bought a truck, and I get to drive it. The next thing I did was I got in this mode because we're shifting my work to be a stay-at-home dad. So I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? When I was a teacher, I had these certain things that I had to prepare and be ready for and anticipate. Well, now I'm a stay-at-home dad. So now I'm like up in my Band-Aid game, my burn ointments, So I went to Walgreens and I bought about $60 of like just stuff for like first aid kits. Okay. And then I got to thinking, it's like, what if I'm out in the truck and I don't have any, I'm out and about, and I don't have anything to air up my tires. So I got like a little compressor. And by the end of it, I spent about $1,000, and I had like some what people have called EDC, everyday carry stuff for your car.
Right.
And my wife looked at me like I was being stupid because I never really cared about this stuff before. And then literally 8 months later, she's like, were you psychic? Because literally all this shit is unavailable.
Man, you hit it right at that perfect window.
Yep. I remember looking at the CVS, whatever, looking at the pharmacy store lady's face when I dumped like $60, $70 worth of just like first aid stuff on the counter. She's like, you all right?
I've gotten that look.
I'm going to be all right when it happens.
I'm not a crazy prepper. I do have a bug out bag, and I live in the South, so I got a ton of guns, but not,
But your South is pretty concrete right now. Your immediate area is pretty concrete.
Oh, I'm South in geography only because Atlanta.
Okay. It's not like you're living like next to a moonshine distillery.
No, and no one around here talks like this, So, but yeah, we do like our firearms, all legally procured, of course, but we're big fans of them.
Dude, I'm from Texas. You cross the state line, they give you a gun.
All right. Enough about the pandemic. Everyone's sick of hearing it. I'm sick of hearing it. Every time I turn on the
I am
TV, it's
too.
like, oh man, the quarantine. And it's like we're all just making it worse. But enough of that. I'm gonna hit you with something you want to reply to, but I'm not gonna let you. Let's get to topic number uno.
Lay it on me.
AAA games, $70. What do you think?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too, but there's more nuance than that. I'm wagging my finger at you.
Are you taking point here? Because I got a lot of shit to say.
All right, go for it.
All I'm saying is it is a massive jumble of a cluster when it comes to pricing video games. And the developers have been working around it for many, many, many years. And it's not going to get fixed unless one of two things happen. They raise the price or they drastically cut back on their funding for games.
Right. I agree. That's pretty much what I was going to say. So I have a catalog here from Nintendo in I want to say 1996.
Okay.
And so the prices back then, you've got the NFL game, and that's priced right at $60. And then you've got Mario and stuff like that. And those have been out for a couple years. Those are priced at $40. I'm pretty sure when Mario launched, it was also $50. So $50, I actually did an inflation calculator. $50 back then for in today's dollars is $82 and some change.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, $70 is kind of below, but that's just kind of face value. Back then, you paid $50 for a game. It was a cartridge and it had the whole game on it, and that was it. Your transaction was done. That was the entire game. Is all you're ever going to get. Now, the waters are a little bit more muddy because you buy a game and then you get DLC and then you get, microtransactions and loot crates and, skins and all sorts of stuff. So looking at a game like Destiny, which we play a lot, last year, Destiny made $300 million from the game. In any given time, they've got close to 1 million daily active users right now. If we just go ahead,
that was just off their in-game store.
There's digital sales.
Okay.
So yeah, so digital DLC and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, with 1 million daily active players and $300 million a year, that means that on average, each player is spending $300 on the game.
Damn.
Which isn't the case because, you've got a lot of free players. I mean, I foolishly give them more money than I should. I just bought both of the collector's editions for this new expansion. So, I mean, you kind of have it to where players are spending way more money than $60 on a game. I honestly don't even see what the outrage is because people drop the $60 and then they hit them with $30 for the DLC. Or like, oh, that skin's awesome, and give them another $5. But if they're gonna bump up to $70 or even $80, I'd be fine with that. As long as we kind of see the microtransaction trend that is actually becoming more of a macro transaction trend, as long as we see that dial way the hell back.
Something's got to change from the developers' pushiness, selling DLCs before the game even launches, all this extraneous stuff that they put on the player. That's got to go away if they're going to raise the price.
Right. And it's tough to not use Destiny as an example.
That's something we all know.
We're getting to a point in Destiny where it's $15 just for an armor skin on a single character. And then you've got 3 months to buy that skin. So you're working with each season, which is approximately 3 months. There's 3 skins released for characters that are $15 a piece. You want all 3 of them, you're going to shell out $45 every 3 months just for these skins. Like, these prices are kind of insane. So yeah, I mean, they're their budget isn't nearly that huge. And I mean, maybe it's gone up, but I remember the big story when Destiny was first happening was that Bungie went to Activision and was like, we need $500 million to make Destiny for 10 years. And Activision was like, all right. And then, all the news outlets were like, oh my God, Activision's going to spend $500 million on Destiny, So they made, what's that? What's 3/5? 60% of that last year alone. And obviously, and they got the contract from, what was it, TenCent, I want to say?
I think you're right, yeah.
Some Chinese company for $100 million to make a different IP. And obviously, operating costs, they bought out of their Activision contract, which was rumored to be like 160 million, I think. So obviously there's a lot more involved than just, oh, they made $300 million, they're set, But still, they're making money hand over fist. And, I don't think that even though if we see a price hike, we're going to see that stuff get dialed back.
No.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen.
It's too much of a golden goose egg for some of these developers. I mean, like if you go through, I'm pulling this purely off the top of my head. I'm not doing a in-depth analysis or timeline, but I believe we've seen a migration of the way that developers have added stuff to try and supplement the fact that the original price tag of the game versus how much it costs to develop and maintain, because you have a lot of games that are continuously online that are forever running, and that's not cheap. I think, we started with like DLCs. I think that with like some of the first DLCs were on Xbox were like horse armor for Red Dead or something.
So was it Skyrim?
Hats.
It was Skyrim.
Skyrim, okay.
Or maybe Oblivion. One of them was the first one. You had it was like $3 for horse armor, and everyone lost their shit.
And then was it Team Fortress 2, or Team Fortress had like some massive, they had like the first scandal surrounding some of their DLCs, if I remember correctly. And then we went to, what was it next? It wasn't season passes, but it was like the DLCs, I think, was kind of the next thing that kind of hit the market. And then we saw loot boxes, and then we saw season passes. And like you look, that's kind of the progression that supplementing the profits of a game has kind of gone through. And when was the actual like $60 or $59.99 established? Was that when like 360s and Xbox or PlayStation 3s launched? I want to say it was back then, mid 2000s.
I think so, yeah, because PlayStation 2 games were also $50, and that was kind of in the same. But I think, let me do a Google real quick. I think that Halo, the original Halo Combat Evolved on Xbox, was,
I think they were $49.99.
Might have been. Let's see, launch price.
Because I remember when I first started gaming on the Sony PlayStation, like hardcore gaming. I had a Nintendo and stuff, but like I was a kid and I was doing kid things. But when I really started hitting the sauce was Final Fantasy VII on Sony PlayStation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I remember, like, from then on, I knew that with the sales tax in my state, a video game, a AAA title, was $54.11. I just, like, I knew that because I knew the percentage add-on. I knew how much I needed to go. And that was a $49.99 title. And so, and then I think right about the Xbox 360, I want to say, was that 2004, 2005, maybe? That's when, like, I vividly remember AAA titles are $59.99. Like, that was when I remember hearing that. And that's America. You got to remember, there's some, Australia, they pay crazy higher amounts for their stuff.
Yeah, like ludicrously higher. Like my friend in Australia is constantly complaining because it's not just about the difference in value in their dollar. They're literally paying more than us for the exact same product.
And I believe they have more censorship. And I mean, like Germany has like incredible high censorship obviously, standards.
Yeah. And, like if you play Wolfenstein in Germany, it's going to be a very different experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I going back to my original train of thought, the time that I remember really seeing that $59.99 price tag really established was right about the launch of the, what was that, second gen consoles. And I think
I guess it depends on what gen you consider.
Yeah.
Because like if you start your gens with the Xbox, then yeah, you're second gen. But if you start your gens with like the NES, I think it's 8,
6, 8, 7. Yeah.
7 or 8, something like that.
But I mean, like when you really started to see that fierce competition between like 2 or 3 major brands, you know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
you had camps. Before it was just like, yeah, man, I got a PlayStation, come on over and play, or I got a Super Nintendo. But anyway, the that was when I saw that price tag hit, and it hasn't changed since. I mean, it really hasn't. And all these companies you see, they have to throw all these deals in to make sure that buy the deluxe edition, buy the director's cut, buy this, buy that, and they tack it on, and you see them creeping up. I mean, like now some of these games are what $250 for like super deluxe editions, and like you get all these collectibles and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And
they're they're milking it as much as they can.
I'm a sucker for that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. I totally agree. I think you might be right on when that shift happened. So that would have been about 2005, I think is when the Xbox came out. So 15 years.
Okay.
For 15 years,
The
games have been
360 came out.
$60. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
can't I tried to figure out how much Halo was. I can't find anything. It's just a bunch of like resellers that are like original Halo CE, $1 million.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, if anyone out there who hears this can find out, Godspeed.
Yeah.
And prove us all wrong.
It's not hard.
No, it's not. But yeah, so I think you're right. I think you're right on your timeline of when that big shift happened. And there's probably like people like, oh my God, it's so expensive,
Yep. But then you got to think inflation from there to now, and it's still at that price point. I mean, what would that percentage
Yeah,
difference be
do that.
now? What would that? It's got to be like 30% difference from what $50 or $60 was in 2005 to what $60 is now.
So $60 in 2005 is equivalent to $78.77. So yeah, you're pretty close, 31.3%.
Boom. All right, I can retire. So so you got to think about that. If we're still charging for games what we charged 15 years ago, and it is increased, I mean, like 30% difference, and tack on the massive graphics that are taken and all the technology and stuff that goes into it, because every time a console comes out, it's way more expensive to develop for the next one.
Right.
And you are just losing money, and you still have an archaic, old-timey price point. I don't blame them for doing what they're doing. I don't like it. I don't like, literally having sale signs all put in front of my face every time I go into the tower. But the thing, that's a Destiny reference. But the thing is, I don't see another way for it to change unless there's a massive shift. And it's like, who's going to be the first one to take that step? Because the suits like their money. They're going to be wanting their money. So I don't know.
Sure. And it's looking like NBA 2K is going to be the first one to take that step, because that's who started all this news. I don't think there's indication of all AAA games being $70 now. I think it was NBA 2K announced that it'll be $70 on next gen consoles, but still $60 on old gen consoles, which is kind of weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, that one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I mean, you're still developing for a title. You're just maybe, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And they kind of got away. They didn't get away with it because people were pissed about in 2005. But you got to remember, there was a massive graphic update across the board for entertainment. Entertainment systems in the common household were jumping from RCA cables, red, white, and yellow, to component. And we were getting off of the right and left channel cables and going to optical. So we were getting a massive technological improvement in our everyday life. So it was smart for the video game designers to go, you know what? Everything's getting fancier. Our games are getting fancier. Let's bump the price up a little bit. And it's kind of, it fit. It worked.
Right.
They don't have that opportunity here because technology is so far, like every day we're amazed by something we see on YouTube or on Twitter. And it's hard to kind of find a point where you can just like, yeah, now our games are $70. Yeah, now our games are $80. So, and then with as quick as people are willing to jump down other people's throats about anything that's different and change, it's just going to be the vocal minority is going to voice their opinion as always.
Right. I would honestly argue that the Xbox 360 coming out and that big switch to component and then eventually HDMI during that generation was the last gigantic tech leap of newer generation consoles.
Yeah, I can see that. We've had bumps
because since then it's been more incremental, I feel like, you know, because then you got the Xbox 360 Slim and then you got, you know, then you got the Xbox One, which when I don't know if you remember when the Xbox One was first coming out and they'd had their tech demo, everyone was like, this looks like it should run on a 360. And everyone's having those exact same comments about the PS5 and the Series X.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, Xbox 360 to Xbox One X was way more of a technological leap befitting, you know, Xbox to Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But we had two mid-gen consoles between them.
Well, it's just,
but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. You're getting into the lifespan of consoles and how that's just asinine as it is. Because it's like cars, you know, once you take it off the lot, it's already depreciated so much. Sure.
There's also that whole rabbit hole of like console pricing and how companies pretty much lose money on every single console they sell.
Yep. Yeah, I remember hearing stories about, what was it, the Xbox One when it launched, because it had such a sloppy launch compared to Sony's, that they had to change the price tag just to move units to try to give it the impression that it was doing well. And they lost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And I remember this because I bought an Xbox One and my friends made fun of me for it. And the only reason I bought an Xbox One was for Halo 5. So imagine my disappointment when Halo 5 came out.
Oh, man. No.
That was bad. But yeah, so I mean, just to kind of wrap this topic up, I think that obviously a shift in pricing has been inevitable for AAA games. But the problem here is that, you know, publishers have blurred the lines of how they monetize their games outside of the initial price point so much that if they don't address that in some way while they're hiking the price, they're going to have a lot of really unhappy people on their radar. The problem with that is that unhappy people still buy games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, I bitch about Destiny endlessly, and I just pre-ordered both Collector's Editions, so I'm part of the problem. I recognize this, but that is the thing. You have people that complain endlessly, but will never stop playing.
Yeah.
And so nothing's going to change.
No, it's going to have to be something drastic, and it's going to piss off a lot of people no matter what. Whether it's the suits that are making all the money now, or it's the people that's going to be forking over the money. If you give in one category, you're going to have to take in the other, and it's just it's not pretty. And there's not a clear way to do it, and somebody's going to have to pioneer it and probably get slapped around a little bit because of it.
So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Right now, it's not all AAA games. I think it's just NBA 2K who's come out and said this, and it just kind of sparked the conversation amongst a bunch of dissenters as to all AAA gamings. So you know how that snowball rolls.
Yep.
So, moving on. Ninja streams to YouTube without a contract. And I'll add, his first stream on YouTube got over 100,000 viewers.
Do you have revenue totals? Like, did he pull in donos?
I don't know. Let me try and Google that.
Ninja I watched. I think it was only like an hour and a half long stream, wasn't it? It was like 90 minutes or something. I looked at it a little bit. Yeah, I want to say it was like it wasn't even 2 hours long. And in the opening part, he made reference that he was getting some sort of donations that he wasn't really expecting them. But you know, if you're not aware of what's going on, Mixer shut down about a month ago, about 3 weeks ago, I want to say, and it was a big deal. A lot of people were caught off guard, and they kind of
not a lot of people. Everyone. Mixer employees were caught off guard. I think the only people who weren't caught off guard were Xbox top brass, Microsoft top brass.
And I think some of their very, very top, like Ninja and Shroud, and maybe some of those little bit bigger but smaller ones like Goth,
King Ithalian. They knew or not.
I think maybe I don't know. You can't give somebody.
If they did, they'd never say, because like livelihoods were ruined
Yep.
by not being told to prepare for this in the middle of a pandemic. It was a really wild move, and the publicity on that is terrible.
When you give somebody the stupid amount of money like Ninja, like Microsoft did, like you, I mean, there's contracts there that you got to like. Okay, look, so Ninja, here's the deal. We're gonna do this, and please don't kill us. Okay, so there's got to be. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but there were a lot of people that were pissed off about it.
I would say he had to know because they paid out his contract immediately, right? And
Mhm.
that's those kind of like legal negotiations that happen behind closed doors before it happens and take days, if not weeks.
Yep. But so he stayed offline for like a month, I think,
For a while,
almost.
yeah.
And then he
Until
just
this.
popped on. He just popped. I don't think he like made any announcements. He just like fired it up and
Yeah, he put out a tweet. He's like, I'm going to stream on YouTube today.
yep.
Which is crazy because I was saying that he was going to go back to YouTube. So I feel very vindicated that I was a smarty pants enough to see the writing on the
But
wall and read it.
but is he there, or did he just like put his toe in the water to see what kind of response he got? I think it was a publicity stunt to say, "Hey, YouTube, you want me?"
I think it was too, because he pulled 160,000 concurrent viewers, over 160,000. So I think it wasn't him testing YouTube's waters. I think it was him testing his own waters for YouTube
Really?
to be like, hey, look how much I can pull.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we're saying
Yeah,
the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he was flexing. He really was. He was
yeah.
flexing, showing YouTube like, you want me. You want this. He was, being sexy for him. And I mean, out of all the options, I agree with you. I mean, Twitch kind of was a jerk to him.
Oh yeah.
Mixer collapsed underneath it all. So you either got these are the big ones. You either got Facebook or YouTube, or you got something else.
So I think that Ninja didn't really get a chance to do what Mixer wanted him to do, because of this whole pandemic stuff. I think that Mixer was
Really?
likely going to be planning some events, like live in-person events with him and Shroud and all these people that they bought. And then, COVID hit and it was like, no one's doing live events right now.
Interesting.
And I think that, also,
I
I
never
think it's
thought of it
just,
that way.
yeah, I feel confident. I mean, Shroud basically said as much that he had a lot of stuff planned with Mixer that the quarantine complicated. So I think that was likely a factor, but it's also the Microsoft curse, the Zoom and Groove Music, and they get into these markets that they're behind in already, and just throw a bunch of money at it, and it doesn't work, and then they pull the plug. It doesn't matter if the product is great; they're not gaining ground fast enough, and they just kind of, oh, all right, oh well, on to the next one.
Well, to be honest, I will say that they gave Mixer a lot longer run than I thought they would.
They did, specifically, from a time perspective. I think they gave up on it months ago,
Really?
maybe a year ago.
Well, a year ago was when they signed Ninja.
Yeah, I think to an extent, I think they had more stuff planned with that. I also think it was a bit of a Hail Mary.
Yeah,
We'll talk about this next week.
for sure.
I promise we'll talk
Yeah, I
about this
got you.
next week because I do want to talk about it, but
I want to talk
I
about it
could talk
now.
about it for I could do the whole rest of this segment about Mixer going
Yeah.
nuts, and I really want to talk about the next thing on our list.
Let's get it.
So, Bungie, Destiny 2, Twitch. What do these things have in common? A lot of money. So, Bungie does this thing. Well, they have that, the Destiny 2 stream integration app. I'm sure you've seen it because you stream Destiny 2 sometimes.
I'm aware of it. Yes.
Right. Well, so if you link your Bungie account with the integration app, there was like Twitch bounties that you could do, and you could get stuff for doing it. And normally it was like, 50 Dusklight shards. It was nothing worth really
Yeah, it was
messing
like
with.
planet materials, maybe like some shaders
It was
and
like
stuff.
host a streamer or some stuff. They weren't really engaging things. It was just kind of a feature. Well, this past week they added a bounty where if you donate a sub, gift a sub, 2 subs to a Destiny streamer that's using this app. I think it could be. I think you could give like one sub to one streamer and one sub to another streamer. Like you didn't have to just dump them all in a single person's chat. You if you did two of them, you got a shader and an emblem in the game. And God, I've been complaining for months about how Bungie way overvalues emblems. But damn, if people won't jump to it and donate money just to get a freaking emblem, then 90% of the time they don't even use.
Well, it's $10 for a shader and emblem.
Right. It's $10, right? So they did this, and dude, it was crazy.
Just for the record, you can't even get an armor set for $10.
No, seriously. So Glad, the #1 Destiny streamer, because of this, broke Twitch's subtrain record. I mean, broke the site-wide record for subtrain.
Good.
Made almost $100,000 in a week from this.
That is nuts.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's cool.
One little PR stunt pulled in almost 6 figures for one streamer.
MTash, I think also, I'm not 100% sure on this number. I don't want to say a wrong number, but I think it was close to like 30 grand for MTash.
Jeez.
He does more YouTube than streaming. And as I will tell you, it's really hard to do both. But yeah, so these streamers, these top Destiny streamers, made a ton of money off of this. And, you know, if you're a jaded person, you're going to sit there and be like, oh, the rich get richer. But I think it was a really cool community thing to do.
Yeah.
I think it was a really cool way to support their content creators. And it was super effective. I don't think anyone thought it was going to, I mean, dude, I think Polygon or Kotaku or someone wrote an article about it. It made news. It was so big.
Oh,
it broke site records.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Well, I remember hearing about the Glad train because there was some controversy about him. Like it was going so long, and he had been streaming for so long that he literally was about to pass out. So he put on like old game footage and left his stream running.
Right.
And just so that the donations and the you know. And there was some blowback from other streamers that were saying, and content creators saying, like he was just, you know, breaking terms of service. He was kind of milking the cash cow. And it's like, I mean, to a degree, I see both points, but dude's got to sleep.
Okay. Dude does have to sleep, but okay, let's look at this from the other streamer's perspective, right? It's like you've got this huge subtrain going, right? And you want to get some sleep. So you play reruns on your stream so people can keep donating to you, when if your stream wasn't up playing reruns, these people who want this emblem could be going to other streamers on the platform.
Yeah, well, and I'm not saying that's the decision I would have made.
Right.
I want to be right there.
I had not heard that.
I would have like hosted somebody else.
Yeah,
but that's
a little shitty. I like Glad.
I do too.
I don't know that's I hadn't heard that. Okay, so I can't, if that is true, it's a wee bit shitty.
Well, I haven't seen anything specific, but that's what I picked up through Twitter and other socials that had.
I saw that his tweet said that he had a 42-hour stream.
Yeah.
28,137 subtrain. 40,000, which is the site record.
42 hours. That's almost 2 days.
Yeah.
I did a 24-hour stream.
He gave away a PC and a Mojo desk, which sucks, man. I wish I was there. I want a Mojo desk so freaking bad. They're just so damn expensive. All right, let's look at the comments on his thing, see if anyone's trashing him. So yeah, that's 40,000 subs, man.
That's nuts.
And he didn't say what tier they are. I'm assuming they're not all tier ones.
But if you're doing the bounty thing, they're all tier ones. They're all tier ones. Those people that are they're popping
anyone
in.
Who's just like jumping in and giving 2 bounty. Like, dude, I did it.
Yeah.
I walked in and I was like, tier one. Okay, see you, Glad. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, I found out afterwards it could be literally any streamer who has that app installed. So if I'd known that beforehand, I probably would have found like a smaller guy and given him $10.
Well,
but I do like Glad. I like Glad a lot. So
yeah, I like him too. I did see one thing I want to add on. I did on the weekly update from Bungie about their game. I did see in their troubleshooting area that you only got the emblem and the shader if you did that through PC or desktop browser. It did not work through mobile.
I think that's true because I don't think the Destiny 2 Twitch companion or whatever works on mobile. I don't know if it does. I don't watch on mobile because it's such a terrible experience.
Yeah, it's rough.
They definitely should have clarified that. And that's, dude, that has been Bungie's problem lately, is that they don't clarify things enough. Like we saw that with their first live event, where they probably should have clarified that it was going to start 45 minutes after they started. They said it would start and take 2 hours. It's just, it's one of those things, like if you're putting this out and people are going to go spend their money, clarify how this stuff works, because I kind of got zinged on it just a little bit. It said donate 2 subs, right? So when I went, or gift 2 subs. So when I went to the gift subs option, I put in 2. I just, 2 subs, $8 or whatever, because I got a discount on my first sub, and go through. Well, that only counted as 1.
Oh.
You had to gift. You had to specifically go through the gift process twice, no matter how many subs you gifted during the first process.
Dirty.
Yeah. So I actually paid closer to like $13 for my emblem that I'm never gonna wear, and my Barney shader, because that's what it looks like. It's like purple and green.
I haven't done it yet, so congratulations on your shader and emblem.
I'm never gonna use it ever.
Well, I do like to see Bungie like reach out and kind of help the community like that, and it's unfortunate that only like a handful of people really benefited from it. But I mean, it shows them, and that's one thing that I got to give Bungie credit for, is that they do care about the community. They do try to do things that promote positivity, that promote, charity, and it was a step in that direction. So I got to give them credit for that.
I think, dude, I think that the big streamers getting a boost from this more than the little guys is inevitable.
Oh, for sure.
You're never going to hear about it if the little guy makes, $100 more that week. I mean, he'll tweet about it, but who's going to read it? He's got 3 followers,
Yep.
So I'm sure it probably helped a lot more people, just not to the $100,000 in a week level. But still, I think it's a cool idea. Reward people with in-game stuff for supporting streamers. I think it's nifty, and it worked.
And it created buzz, so other people that aren't even aware of what it was are like going, "What's going on over here?" So I mean, it's good.
Yeah, I think it was cool. I think it was a cool idea. I think it was executed mostly well, and I would like to see more of it in the future. I would like to see other games doing this as well. Because Borderlands has their own Twitch app. A bunch of games have Twitch's app or Twitch integration.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to develop around. It's because, I mean, you got the core game. You can't primarily make your game with Twitch in mind.
Oh, of course. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, like Borderlands could do I don't play Borderlands. I don't even know the mechanics of that game, but they could do something along the lines of, gift subs and get this weird ass gun blueprint, anything like that. It would be a cool thing for developers to pursue that helps streamers. I mean, all developers, right? Because you're literally just making something in the game.
Yeah.
You're already making the game.
Well,
the only thing is that you gotta make an integrated Twitch app. But if you already have that,
yeah, the best franchise that I've seen ever utilize I guess integration, but interacting with Twitch viewers is Rocket League. I don't know if you're familiar.
Really?
Yeah, because so they have and they've upped the number of contests they have throughout the year, but they originally started with like the Rocket League Championship Series, the RLCS. And it is actually, I am not a very good Rocket League player, but I enjoy it. It's like a literal video game sport. And it brings in a ton of views. And Psyonix, who is the developer of the game, they eventually have grown this into a multi-tier, huge championship series. And then there's subsequent series underneath them that people are doing individually and running. But at the big events, if you're watching the stream and you have your Twitch account linked to your Psyonix account, you can get drops randomly in the game. And granted, this is just like cosmetic stuff because you have a certain number of cars which is like your hitbox character that interacts with the ball, but everything else is cosmetic. What colors and what attributes you throw on it, that doesn't affect how you play. But people, I mean, like I know of friends that are heavy Rocket League players, and they'll leave browsers open all night, and they'll leave, just leaving stuff running so they get drops.
Jeez.
Yeah, and it's smart. It's really smart.
Man, who would have thought Rocket League was going to take off that hard?
I like the pun there.
I've seen the game. It's not really, yeah, right. It's not really my style, but God, I did not expect that game to blow up as huge as it has. But anyway, I think just to kind of come back to it, I think that developers doing in-game stuff for stream interaction with their games is a good idea. It boosts engagement with their game, and it boosts engagement with the streamer, and it boosts viewership and income for the streamer. So it kind of is like it's a win-win-win across the board. I don't see anything bad about it.
Yeah, the only thing that in a perfect world we could spread that revenue amongst more of the content creators in that specific game, as opposed to just like the richer getting richer.
How very socialist of you.
Everybody stands in lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's just inevitable. The rich are always going to get richer with that kind of stuff.
Sure. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good to see. I want to see more of it. I'm with you on that.
Cool. Well, that's all that I had planned for today.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, like, besides getting into the really, really meaty stuff that will piss off everybody that hasn't even already listened to us. So I don't got anything.
Right. Oh God, I just,
it's don't do it. Don't do it.
It's so tempting because I feel like I'm in the right space on those issues, but it's so.
We save it for episode 2. Let's at least get to 2.
I mean, I think we've been going for like an hour now.
Yeah, we're good. And we can cut and paste and all sorts of stuff, but yeah.
Sure. Well, all right.
I think you can coronavirus for that one because everybody's like, oh, I think I'll start streaming now since I have to stay at home.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
I love it when you say that.
Plus, I feel like everyone's buying into this kind of stuff because, they're at home. They got nothing better to do. Everyone's like, oh, Twitch streaming doesn't look that hard.
Yep. Although if you keep saying the same thing I do 2 minutes later, this is going to be a very boring show. I mean, I will feel justified, but
I'm looking at stupid shit on eBay and half listening.